Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Enter the manosphere.
Of course. How can I assist you today?
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
If not more so. Looking back, if I were a smarter person, I would have realized that a video of me on stage talking about these double standards titled "Who Should Pay on a Date" going insanely viral many years ago was a sign of things to come.
When you're on a date, who should pay?
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Today we're going to let your very own women's champion say the quiet part out loud.
Now, to women. Whenever I hear this toxic, stereotyping BS about you coming from certain male communities online, I champion you everywhere I go. You know that. You've watched me on interviews on YouTube and constantly fighting that fight for not allowing you to be stereotyped in unfair ways. Because I've spent 18 years of my life working with you and I know you deserve better than that. But man, does some of you give the rest of you a bad name and make it hard to defend you against those stereotypes.
Matthew Hussey, yes, the dating coach who's been cuddling the female ego for over a decade, is now echoing the same truth that the manosphere has been crucified for. And the best part? When we say it, we're toxic. When he says it, it's profound insight. So buckle up. This one's gonna be satisfying. Make sure to watch his full video. The link is in the description. Oh, and shout out to Mr. Sido for dropping this video topic request. Salute!
This video took me forever to write. There is a big problem happening with a lot of men right now. Most of us, including myself, did not see this problem coming. And even when we did not take it seriously enough. In this video, I am going to talk about what that problem is, how it is creating huge numbers of disillusioned, unhappy men, and a record number of single women. And I am going to finish by giving some practical tips for both men and women who are struggling to find love because of this problem.
You hear that? He didn't take these problems seriously. Of course not. Because as long as men suffered quietly, it wasn't a problem. It was just the way it is. Now Hussey is allowed to talk about it because these red pill truths are mainstream now. Matthew is not gonna face any heat for saying this because let's be real, he's still giving women what they want to hear. He dips his toe into truth, just enough to keep credibility, but not enough to lose his audience. He's like the Trojan horse of dating coaches. Check this out.
Let's start with a cultural moment many of us are sharing right now. The TV show Adolescence, currently airing on Netflix. I, like so many other people, took 4 straight hours of my life to binge watch this show that everybody is talking about. Don't worry, there won't be any spoilers here, but the show revolves around the story of 13-year-old Jamie Miller, a young boy whose life takes an unexpected turn after a tragic event involving a classmate. Over 4 episodes, the series explores themes of adolescence, societal pressures, and the impact of online cultures. At the time of making this video, this show has been watched by over 70 million viewers, more than the population of France. That's not just because it's an incredibly made show with exceptional acting, which it is, it's also because it struck at the heart of something that has been bubbling under the surface for a long time. The issue of what's happening to men in society.
You see, this is that boiling frog effect we always talk about. You let the water heat up slowly. Nobody notices until everyone is cooked. We were warning people for years, but they called us every name in the book. And now? Oh, now it's trendy to care about boys and men because it's affecting dating outcomes. Hussey has no choice but to say something. His entire business model depends on helping women get men. Remember his best-selling book? Get the Guy. Learn secrets of the male mind to find the man you want and the love you deserve. Well, guess what? He can't help women get the guy if the guys have left the building.
For the purposes of this video, I'm less interested in what's happening to highly impressionable teenage boys and more interested in the adult culture that is influencing them in the first place. The insecurity, bitterness, and disillusionment seen in the barely teen boys in the show is echoed in what's going on with an ever-growing number of adult men in the world today. Here are some scary recent stats about men. Suicide rates among men under 30 have risen by 40% since 2010 and are 4 times higher than among young women. A 2022 Pew Research Center survey revealed that 63% of men under 30 identified as single, a significant rise from 51% in 2019. The same survey found that the percentage of single men actively seeking either a committed relationship or casual dates decreased from 61% in 2019 to 50% in 2022. So what exactly is going on here? And what does it have to do with why so many men and women are finding it harder than ever to get into a relationship?
Yeah, we've been quoting these stats for years. This isn't new data. This is ignored data. But as long as women weren't affected by it, it wasn't considered a problem. Now, suddenly, we're talking about the crisis? Please.
So if birth rates are declining because there are way less couples, why are there way less couples? Lyman Stone, a researcher at the Institute of Family Studies, suggests it is because young men are falling behind economically, and men's odds of being in a relationship today are still highly correlated with their income. Stone said, women do not typically invest in long-term relationships with men who have nothing to contribute economically. So the theory goes like this. Less men are graduating from college, while record numbers of women are graduating from college. Alongside this, the income of less educated men has stagnated, while women's earnings have increased. The result, Stone says, is a lot of young men today just don't look like what women have come to think of as marriage material. In basic terms, this means as women have progressed, as their lifestyles and their earnings have gone up, their standards have also gone up. They've become choosier. Damn you, female empowerment.
This isn't just the US. This is happening globally. The higher women climb economically, the more invisible the average man becomes. And let's be honest, half of those degrees are in fields that rhyme with effeminist philosophy and come with a side of lifelong debt. But if we say it, misogyny. Now pay close attention to what Captain Compromise says next.
An enormous amount of this, unless you are someone who believes in the subjugation of women and having them be forced to be reliant on men, is a good thing. Do we actually want to go back to a time when it was enough that a man having a job and not being violent gave him bragging rights as a good husband? What are you talking about? I put food on the table. I never laid an hand on you. I treat you like a queen. I know if I am ever to have a daughter, I will be teaching her how important it is that she go out and earn her own money so that she never makes a relationship decision based on the need to rely on a man or a woman financially. Financial independence isn't just the freedom to choose the life we want, it is the freedom to choose the partner who is right.
The foolishness. See that? Classic effeminist feel-good Kool-Aid.
Can you make me feel good? Can you make me feel good?
He praises female independence and subtly throws shade at the traditional model, the very structure that gave women stability, happiness, and a functional society. But here's the kicker. His daughter gets choice. What does his son get? Pressure to perform, pressure to pay, pressure to provide. Women get options, men get obligations. Let's not forget, a man's money is our money and a woman's money is still hers.
Others, however, have argued that women are hypergamous by nature, which is to say they marry up in terms of wealth, status, and resources. So when they become financially independent, they don't exercise the freedom to choose anyone they want, free from the constraints of financial practicality. Instead, they now have an even higher bar than before. find someone with an even bigger paycheck and even more resources than I have. Well, let's just assume this is true for a minute and that the data is correct. That young women aged 16 to 24 now earn nearly 10% more than their male peers, and in 2022, single women owned 58% of the nearly 35 million homes owned by unmarried Americans, while single men owned 42%. Then you do the maths. What that means essentially is that there are way less men than ever before who are deemed marriage material. As Scott Galloway put it, how many of us have said, I know a ton of great single women, they just can't find a date? That's not true, he said. They can't find a date that they find economically and emotionally viable.
Facts, but let's be real. Matthew quoting someone else about hypergamy is just him outsourcing the backlash. He won't take a hard stance because he knows full well his audience of great single women might cancel him. And let's talk about those so-called great women. Remember Sex and the City?
It's like the riddle of the Sphinx. Why are there so many great unmarried women and no great unmarried men?
This is where the delusion gets mass-produced. Great women everywhere, but somehow the men are the problem? These shows glorify dysfunction, loneliness, and aging with cats, but it's empowering. Meanwhile, we get clowns for simply pointing out that women like money and status. This delusional narrative of women good, men bad gets recycled every time, and guys like Hussey ride that wave, telling women to keep hope alive instead of telling them to get real.
Many men are also quick to point out what feels like a brand new double standard, that men still be expected to pay even though they are dating women who do just as well as them, if not more so. Looking back, if I were a smarter person, I would have realized that a video of me on stage talking about these double standards titled "Who Should Pay on a Date?" going insanely viral many years ago was a sign of things to come.
When you're on a date, who should pay?
I know. I mean, that's what I told them. You know, I'm sorry.
But-
I would say, I'm dating. We're dating. You
But here's the-
gentleman here.
Here, okay. He's supposed to pay.
Yeah. That's
You're
what I told them.
but you're supposed to have sex with him whenever he says.
No. Whenever both.
Where does this double standard come from? I'm sorry, it's the reality. You guys can moan at it all you want, but the moment you say to a guy, you have to fucking pay for my time, you're saying this relationship isn't equal. This relationship isn't equal. My time is worth more than yours, so you should pay for it. I wonder what paradigm that sets up.
One comment I saw online reflected a growing sentiment among men, where he wrote, "Dating for men is like paying for a job interview." Combine all of this information with the fact that I hear all of the time from women that when they try to date men who have less than they do, the men themselves seem to have a giant hang up about it and get intimidated, and, well, it's a giant mess.
When you watch the full episode of him talking about who should pay, you will see how he carefully walks the tightrope. He doesn't say she should pay or even go 50-50. Nah, he talks about gestures, vague enough to sound fair, soft enough to avoid a riot.
Here's my view. If you go on a date with a guy and you don't offer to pay your share, you weren't taught right. If you go on a date and he doesn't pay, he wasn't taught right.
Come on, we all know the game. When a woman offers, it's just for show. She doesn't want to pay. She's testing you. If you let her pay, she'll lose respect. If you pay, she'll expect you to do it forever. It's lose-lose. And if she makes more than you, that respect goes out the window. It's not intimidation, it's pure disdain. She starts talking to you like she's your manager at work. Be patient, fellas. We've got a banger on toxic femininity in the works. Now let's talk about Matthew's advice for men who still want to be in relationships. We're going to let the man talk for 4 minutes, no interruptions. Then I'll give it to you straight after.
So, for the people who want a relationship, whether they will say it out loud or not, what is the answer to these deep and complicated challenges. This is probably the subject of a whole other video because this one is already way too long, and some of the solutions are macro, like Scott Galloway's suggestion to invest more in the middle class to help men who are falling behind. But I am not in government, and my impact is always the most powerful, in my opinion, when I'm helping people work with how life really is, not how we'd like it to be. So I will just give you some initial thoughts, and you can tell me what you think in the comments. First, to all of the men who are struggling or relate to any of the things that I have said in this video. For many of you, I know that life has not been and continues to not be the privileged walk in the park that you keep hearing it is from the outside. You may be struggling both financially and psychologically, feeling behind in life, and to add insult to injury, feel like because you're not successful enough, tall enough, or good looking enough, you're fundamentally not enough for women in general. But this does women a disservice, and it treats them all as if they're some kind of giant hive mind with no will of their own as individuals to decide their own nuanced preferences. Not all women want the same thing, and many of them are far deeper than the people on TikTok simply looking for a 6'5" blue-eyed trust fund chat. But yes, if you aren't stereotypically attractive, you may find yourself with very few matches on dating apps. But charisma, humor, being interesting, being great company, and having a great outlook on life go a very long way. But these aren't tools you can easily flex online. So maybe online isn't your place. Maybe it's out there in the real world, being in communities, having face-to-face interactions, and letting people organically come to the realization that you are way more awesome and attractive than any of the superficial people they have dated before. For that to happen, it's important that you aren't constantly anticipating the punch, imagining that women won't want you once they get to know you, or feeling emasculated the moment you find out there's an area of life she's excelling in. Her success takes nothing from your intrinsic value, and your ability to admire her success without feeling threatened by it or feeling the need to compete with it will set you apart from other, more insecure men. Also, be careful on hating on people who are drawn towards people who are successful. It doesn't automatically make them superficial. And it's a double standard that some of us have to be mad at someone else for having a preference when we ourselves disqualify people based on our preferences all the time. In any case, you don't need to be outwardly and superficially successful to be a hardworking man, to have a vision for a better life for yourself, and to have a resilience that is noticeable and admirable when it comes to getting through hard things. These are all insanely attractive qualities that don't require superficial success for them to be expressed on a date. Dating is storytelling. You are telling the story of where you came from, who you are, and where you are going. If you learn to tell a better story, you will attract more women. And in regards to the women who don't give a shit what your story is until they know what car you drive, don't give them a minute of your time. You don't want the woman who wants you because you have it all. You want the woman who would be by your side if you lost it all.
Yup, the PC, safe for TV solution. But let's be honest, that stat about 61% of men not looking for relationships didn't just fall out of the sky. Men have tried. They've been ghosted, disrespected, used, and friend-zoned into oblivion. You don't get that number without pain. And let's not forget the impact of what boys saw growing up, watching their fathers get dragged through the divorce court, lose access to their kids, their home, their dignity. That left a scar. It taught a whole generation of young men that love can come with a legal death sentence. And it's not just dating apps. Work, dangerous. Gym, creepy. Bars and clubs, wallet traps. Men are backing out because the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Men don't believe women are the prize anymore. And women are proving that belief correct every single day. If you've got the means, take your talents overseas. Avoid the big cities. And for the love of all things rational, do not bring her back. I repeat, do not bring her back. Keep her in her culture, or she will adapt to yours, and your L will be federally certified. Now let's flip it and hear what Hussey says about women.
If you want an authentic relationship based on mutual respect and admiration, date someone who respects and admires you, not someone who gets the message loud and clear that the reason you are into them is because of what they've achieved and what they have. If you achieved a great paycheck in your life, an enviable lifestyle, and a fancy job title, good for you. That's amazing. Wasn't the whole point of that so that you could choose whoever you wanted without relying on anybody? If you're in a position to choose a relationship for love and not security, you already won. So take advantage of that position. Realize that you being more successful should make the dating pool bigger, not smaller. You can't go around calling men superficial when you yourself cannot see past the fact that a man doesn't have the exact style you'd like him to have, the height you said you wanted when you were 25, or the kind of job or status that you think would impress your friends when you tell them about him. And to everybody of any gender, we have to realize that physical attraction is way more interesting than simply finding someone who fits our preconceived type online. Life is way more interesting than that. We get attracted to people we never would have expected to get attracted to when we actually spend time with them and find out what's beautiful about them, what's unique about their energy, or what we respect about their standards in life. And no matter what, remember, statistics don't matter to the individual. No matter what the trends are in dating and relationships, the reality of your life is that you are one conversation away from meeting someone who makes this entire video irrelevant.
Of course, he knows modern women are a mess, just like Derek Jackson does. They all know, but they also know who pays the bills. And it's not broke men on YouTube. You don't have to change the environment to change women's behavior. Women were told independence would expand their dating pool. It didn't. It shrunk it because they don't just want independence. They want someone better than them. They want it all. Hypergamy never left the chat. You can give women all the freedom in the world and they'll still want the man who out-earns, outranks, and outperforms them. Equality? Nah, they want superiority as long as it's his. That's why you're gonna see a rise in singles by 2030. Not because men gave up, but because women aimed too high for too long and got left hanging. Look, I want people to be happy. I want healthy relationships. But the reality, it's not looking good out there. We wouldn't be doing you any favors sugarcoating it. So here's the real. Where there's a will, there's a way. But you have to decide if that way is worth the walk.
Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.